All right. My name's Janine Reed, Director of Finance, and I am going to call this meeting of the Procurement Standards Board to order. Mrs. Judy Cantlin will please take roll.
Kim Sampson.
Here.
Janine Reed.
Here.
Shannon Rayburn.
Here.
Roger Lee.
Present, sorry.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Judy. A quorum has been established, so I declare this meeting of the Procurement Standards Board in session. The first order of business in this is public comment period. Do we have anyone signed up for public comment today, Judy?
No.
Okay, great. The second order of business is to approve the minutes from the December 19th, 2024 meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Great. Do I have a second? Second. A second has been received. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion carries. The minutes are approved. Our next order of business is a report from Dennis Rowland. And so, Dennis, I will turn it over to you, purchasing agent. Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you, Chair. Very productive quarter since our last meeting for our team. Our team just recently held our annual procurement summit on March 5th with 242 people attending virtually. This summit's very important to procurement because all the departments get an opportunity for us to share pertinent information on all of the changes that are taking place and anything interesting that's coming at us, similar to Choose How You Move and some of those projects. We've also been participating in a Metro Council procurement working group since last September. Very good activity. There were 7 departments that were actually interviewed by the Metro Council team. The feedback for purchasing procurement was actually very positive. There were 2 main feedback items that were requested. One, they would like to see improved tracking of the projects that are currently per each department. So we've worked on some collaboration tools and some additional face-to-face type meetings, some WebEx meetings and some collaboration meetings to actually improve the way we're communicating, along with using some AI type tools in sending out automated emails regarding their projects. And we ended up getting all the way across the board from the 7 departments. They all think that procurement needs more resources, that the fact that they would like to see us go faster. I think in my last presentation to you all, I had several different activities that we were looking at in order for us to achieve a faster solicitation timing. And I'll go through some of that as well in a couple of next slides. Our team also supported the Metro Council in the creation of some new legislative items, which will be coming up soon. So I don't want to steal the council member working group's thunder, but there were some really good initiatives that come out of our discussions that I think will benefit Metro going forward. I'd also like to share a major process improvement for Metro Nashville that was approved by Metro Council, and that was a delegation of purchasing authority increase. The state of Tennessee had already increased to a 50,000 limit. The change for us raises our limit from 25,000 to 50,000. The go live for this change was February 15th. And Zach actually completed the training with all the departments, and then there's basically a delegation of authority sign-off that the departments will do in order to get the delegation. It's important to note that we use the voice of customer feedback from our departments to actually study this item. So we had departments that gave us feedback that they would like to see that increased based upon what the state was already doing. We then benchmarked with NIGP and Harvard Kennedy School to validate that 25,000 for Metro, being the size city we were at, was actually very low. And so that actually, in some of our discussions with Metro Council, helped us to basically adopt the change and get approval for that. So we mentioned Choose How You Move. So no doubt, important initiative for Nashville. We basically have had two Choose How You Move business outreach events, one in December and one in February. We are doing our strategy was to create a one-team outreach approach with Metro, WeGo, and NDOT, along with the mayor's office, support from the mayor's office, and the creation of graphics. Our next event is at Southeast Community Center on March 25th, so next week. We will be having several more outreach events in different Nashville communities this spring and summer as well. Our team, both the Business Assistance Office and Business Outreach, are very active in making sure that the coordination and collaboration of these meetings are taking place, and we look forward to trying to improve the diversity impact that the suppliers in our area will be able to have. As far as Choose How You Move sourcing, no doubt the change was voted in on November. We already have two projects that are in the queue. One is an IDIQ for architectural engineering services for NDOT, which was issued March 4th. And then we've got a project management for implementation of the Choose How You Move transportation plan. So this will be a PMO that will basically oversee, the way I look at it, it's like an air traffic control function for Choose How You Move. Regarding Kaizen activities, I know in my last presentation we mentioned this. We started implementing Kaizen activities in May of 2024. We've completed 2 activities to date. The first one that we completed was related to cycle time. Basically, when I came on board in February, that was the number one issue that I kept hearing from everybody, including the mayor's office, the departments, and the feedback that I got is we need you all to go faster. So I basically led a Kaizen with a really cross-functional team from our group, and we created an 180-day sourcing target, which is about a month better than what we had in the past. We also, in a lot of our discussions, when you're doing Kaizen activities, you'll come up with other ideas that are really good to initiate. And one of the things that come out, I call it precision procurement training. As a department, we do a really good job of training, I'm going to say, in big swipe training. In other words, you sit in a room for hours and go through data and that sort of thing. But what we found is the departments were needing training in very specific areas. So it may be creating requisitions, it may be POs. And so what we've done is we've started to do smaller bites of training that we're actually going to do virtually. And what we found is the departments are really, it's a positive change for them in the fact that if there's something they need to be trained on, we can send them a link. And then if they need follow-up with us, we can actually do that. So it's a really good efficiency. We also did an NIGP SWAT Kaizen. And so we had some members that actually attended the NIGP forum in Charlotte last August. And what we found is there were a lot of different ideas that we looked. So we basically did a Kaizen activity to collect all of these ideas. And out of that, ultimately, we've already prioritized the delegation of authority improvement that I mentioned earlier. But then also we're finding that cooperative strategies are needed in Metro. Right now we use some cooperatives based upon that, but we really don't have a strategy on how we use it. So we're in process on that as well. And then we have 2 Kaizens that we're currently working on. One is buyer standardization. And for that item, we need to speed up our training and preparation for, additional headcount that we would like to have going forward if approved. And then we also have an evaluation process Kaizen. So the evaluation process that we go through in our sourcing is very important in maintaining the transparency in our solicitations. And so the goal is to be very consistent in our approach to make sure that we're looking at, we have diversity on the team, make sure it's very cross-functional, and make sure that we're doing a very thorough job in evaluating our suppliers through the process. These Kaizens, it's interesting. I know some of you may have experience with Kaizen activities, but the really cool thing for me is as you're going through an activity, it will spin off other ideas and other initiatives. And so we have so many of these that we basically created a parking lot just for additional ideas. And I think at last number, we had somewhere around 30 to 40 ideas queued up for us to look at going forward. And so the team actually has adopted the Kaizen continuous improvement mindset. And so as you do that, you start looking at differently at the way you do your job, the different processes within Metro. So we're really excited about some of the traction we've made there. As far as manpower, we're currently down one person due to a retirement in January. Per our work volume, we're still understaffed, currently averaging around 20 solicitations per buyer. The benchmarking that we've done says it should be somewhere around 12 or 13. So part of this is leading up to some of the time constraints that we're dealing with. The way that I've sort of queued up FY26 is if we can get the additional staffing, we will be in a position to go much faster than we're currently going. And to go faster, I also want us to be more accurate in our approach to make sure that we're doing the job right. We're working with our legal team adequately to make sure that the contracts Metro is signing up to are very value add for our taxpayers. And also related to work volume, it's interesting. We have a lot of team members like myself that have elderly parents that we're taking care of. And so we've been battling some of that. I think right now at the count that I've got now, we've got 4 or 5 different individuals on our team that are taking care of elderly parents. And then there are things that will pull us away occasionally from that, along with we had some FMLA issues as well. The next item is Lindsley Hall temporary space. So we were actually talking about this before the meeting started. Right now we're in a temporary space in the back of the Lindsley Hall building. We're being told that somewhere around August 22nd, we'll be back into our permanent space, which is on the second floor. And ultimately, I think that gives us better collaboration area. It gives us more room. Right now, the temporary space that we have, we can only have 15 team members in the building at any given point in time. We've also ran into some issues this past winter when it got extremely cold to where the AC and HVAC in Lindsley had a difficult time keeping us up in around, I think it was 64 degrees one day in the building. So we've had some issues there. I love Lindsley Hall, don't get me wrong. I'm looking forward to getting back into the regular space for us. So the procurement KPIs were actually in your packets. I won't go through detail on any of those, but I guess I wanted to give an opportunity, since we've got our team in the room, if there's any questions that you have related to that, give you an opportunity to ask any questions related to the KPIs.
Does anyone have any questions for Dennis or the team on the KPIs?
I think the first thing I would ask is, without going into specifics, any significant changes? Anything to highlight? I think for us, as we kind of look through and review.
Well, for the BAO KPIs, I would say that from Q1 to Q2, we were at 3% towards the end of the spend. We're at 5.67%, so there's an increase there. Of course, small businesses last quarter, we were at right at 4%. We're at 8.37% there, so we've doubled that. Then when you look at our total utilization across all the quasi-government agencies, MMPS, NES, the information we've collected, we're leading in that with spend. And then also we've started tracking in BAO now all of our subcontractors. We're putting those into our B2G now system as a recommendation from our disparity study consultants. So when you look at the total spend that was captured in all subs, 80 over 80% of that went to my disadvantaged businesses. So that shows that the EBO program is working and the small business programming that we're applying is working. So those are things I would like to highlight.
That's great.
Thank you, Christopher. Any other questions from board members? Okay. Well, I want to thank you, Dennis, and your entire purchasing team and the BAO office for all of the incredible work that you do, moving that delegated authority to $50,000, and then all of the training that went into that with each of the departments and getting the sign off. I know really took a heavy lift. And so I think that was a great process improvement. And then all of the trainings that you guys are doing, the Kaizen work, looking at your cycle times and trying to really reduce that really speaks volumes about all of the work that you and your team are doing. So thank you so much for all of that. Okay. Well, if we don't have any other questions, we will move to our next agenda item. And the chair recognizes Zach Kelly, and Zach is going to take us through the proposed changes to the procurement regulations. We do have 4 of those today, and we will start with regulation number 1. So Zach, the floor is yours.
The regulation change number 1 is a change to our 4.08.060. As Dennis mentioned, in December, the Metro Council moved the competitive bidding limit from $25,000 to $50,000. This simply makes that change in the procurement regulations. It also makes note of the other change from that legislation. Previously, when you collected 3 quotes, there was no guardrail there on who you collected them from. Under the new legislation, if it's more than $5,000 but less than $50,000, then you collect 3 quotes. 1 has to be from a certified minority-owned business, 1 has to be from a certified woman-owned business, and then 1 has to be from a certified small or service-disabled veteran-owned business. You don't have to award to them, but you do have to at least give them that opportunity to provide a bid on it. And so that is the explanation of change number 1.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Do I have a motion for this regulation change number 1? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, regulation 1 passes for the proposed change. And then we will move to change number 2 to the regulations.
Once upon a time when $1,000 was considered a whole lot of money, back when Metro was founded in the 60s, we have they put in regulation a reference to something called a small purchase, which is less than $1,000. That reference causes us a lot of headache because it creates a difference without a distinction, or a distinction without a difference between how you make a purchase less than $1,000 and how you make a delegated purchase, which would be anything between $0 and $1,000. So all this does is make clear that if the item is on contract, use the contract. If it is not on contract, then you would follow the rules for delegated purchases. We're also working with council to correct that reference in code, but until then, we need to make the change in regulation.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Do I have a motion to approve regulation change number 2?
Motion to approve change 2.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Perfect. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, motion carries. Regulation 2 is approved. Zach, I'll turn it over to you for change 3.
Change number 3 is a change to our 4.12.210. This is the section that stipulates the reports that we provide to you, that dense packet that Judy gives you at the beginning of every meeting. If you look in the regulations, those standards were set in 1994. There's language in there that we don't even use anymore in reference to small businesses or minority-owned businesses. There are metrics in there that are not necessarily relevant to Metro. Last year, we worked with a group at the Harvard Kennedy School and had them go through and look at our regulations, look at our reporting requirements, and then look at reporting requirements from other governments across the country, because ultimately we want to be able to benchmark ourselves against them. And the problem with our regulations is that the reporting requirements don't necessarily meet that because they are so out of date. And they also require us to report to you spending and levels of utilization from organizations that may define minority-owned business or woman-owned business or small business in a different way that we do. And so it doesn't create an apples-to-apples comparison. So what this does is this pulls out all of those requirements and says that starting in the first quarter of FY26, which would be the September meeting next year, the purchasing agent, Dennis, and the director of the Business Assistance Office, Christopher, will bring you a template. And that template will be for this board to review and approve, and that will determine what metrics are tracked and what metrics are reported to you. It would then be incumbent on the purchasing agent every 5 years to have that updated, or for the board to put forward any changes in the interim that they want to see to that reporting. But the goal there is just to make sure that we have reporting requirements that are from this millennium, that are relevant to us and that allow us to benchmark our organization against organizations across the country.
Great. Thank you so much, Zach, for that explanation. Do I have a motion to approve regulation change number 3?
Motion to approve number 3.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I have a question, actually.
I think I need a second, and then we'll do discussion, if that's okay.
Perfect.
Yes.
Second.
Okay. I have a second. Any discussion? Shannon?
So I think just clarification, that was a lot that.
It is.
Yeah. So I think really this is more around clarification. That was a lot of information that you shared. So the first thing I would ask is that to the extent we are voting on regulations, that we could have the old regulation as part of what we're looking at when we're deleting something in its entirety, making a change. Because the lawyer in me is always like, so what am I losing when I agree to the new regulation? But the other thing that stood out to me is 5 years seems like a really long time. So if you're presenting a template, is there a reason why we would need to wait for 5 years to have that reviewed, if I understood correctly?
Sure. So I understand your point, and I take your point on the first, and yes, I'll make sure that when you have regulations, you have a red line version in future.
I'm probably the only person who wants to see that, but thank you, Zach.
But if you want to see it, you're on the board. You can have what you want. So the 5 year, two things I would say about the 5 year interval. One, we set it at a 5 year interval because you do want to be. The data is useless unless we have some time to collect it and to look at it. And most of our contracts run on a 60-month or a 5 year period. So most all reporting requirements that we have, the EBO program sunsets every 5 years. And so 5 years is kind of the interval that Metro looks at, just so you have time to pull some data in there. All the regulation change says is that the purchasing agent is going to update it at minimum every 5 years. If there's another metric that you all want to see in between there, then you could take that up in the board and we would add that on there. If there's something that Dennis sees that he thinks we need, he would bring that back to the board so that you could add that on there. But the 5 year minimum is strictly to make sure that we don't end up in a situation like we have now where we're still using metrics from 1994.
That makes sense.
Okay. Any further discussion or questions? Okay, Zach, thank you again for that explanation. We have a motion and a second, so now and we've had discussion. Everyone in favor of regulation change number 3, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Motion carries. Regulation change number 3 passes. And Zach, we'll turn it over to you for an explanation of regulation change number 4.
This makes a change to our 4.12.090.05. Under the current regulations, we are prohibited from using cooperatives for services. We can use them for goods, but not services unless the purchasing agent, in consultation with the director of finance, makes the determination that we can use services. What this does is this simply says that it takes our regulation to match state law, which doesn't have that requirement. It says that we can use cooperatives for purchasing. It still requires the director of finance to sign off on that. And it also makes clear that when we're using it for services, that we should maximize to the extent practical the participation of our MBE, WBE, and SBE firms. And we've met with our cooperatives, and we feel comfortable that we have a process set out where we can do that.
Okay, great. Do I have a motion to approve regulation change number 4?
I make a motion that we approve changes to regulation number 4.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. Can I have a vote on regulation change number 4? If you're in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, regulation change number 4 is approved. Thank you all again for that, and Zach, thank you for your time in explaining those. So there is no more business today before the board, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn until our next meeting on Thursday, June the 12th, 2025 at 2 p.m. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Second.
No discussion needed. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. We are adjourned for today. Thank you all again for your time, and thank you so much purchasing. Appreciate it.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.